Tonight, Jessica Jones is back, but more importantly, it's Patsy. Also, on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Enoch learns forever is kind of a long time. Also, what the heck is hashtag Spider-Man for? And it's Father's Day today here at Marvel TV Weekly, so to all the dads out there, happy birthday. Marvel TV Weekly starts now.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Yes, indeed. Welcome to Marvel TV Weekly, sometimes in an audio version known as Marvel Movie News TV Edition. And yes, it is indeed Father's Day, and I always use that occasion to bust out a favorite quote from Tim McCarver when he was the broadcaster for the New York Mets. So, yeah, I didn't lose my mind. It's just something that makes me laugh. I'm Christian Bladt, joined as always by Xia Anderson, Bastille Day.
Hi!
That was so many names.
Hey,
I have a lot of names.
It's when she got married.
Yeah,
As soon
now
as
I
he
have a
put
lot.
as soon as he put a ring on it, her name got funnier. And look, it's our friend Zach Wilson.
Hey, guys, thank you for having me back again.
And for those watching on YouTube, Zach has the scarf.
I do. I busted. Look, I've worn this scarf for 3 years since Jessica Jones came out. I couldn't make it to the Jessica Jones after show this season because you guys were taping on days where I have full workloads. But
True.
I had to bust out the scarf.
And speaking of which, if you would like to check out the Jessica Jones after show, you'll see myself and our friend April Dawn, who Z and I did the Punisher after show with, and Adam Gertler from DC Movie News over on the Popcorn Talk Network. And we're having a lot of fun. And we only have 2 episodes up so far, and we'll have, I think, quite a few more during the course of the week. So keep your eyes peeled for it. We don't actually have the schedule worked out yet because it's crazy, but we're having a lot of fun over there. And I want to know what you guys think. We're going to talk about Jessica Jones Season 3, just episodes 1 through 3. That's all we're going to talk about right now. Next week, we'll probably go up to 8. And that's just letting everybody know the way we're going to pace it for this show. But, it just dropped on Friday, as the kids say.
Yeah, and we'll probably talk about it again on Thursday.
Yes.
When the 3 of us, and if you guys are listening from the Marvel Movie News podcast feed, hello. But we'll probably we'll do like a midweek check-in for 3 more episodes and then 2 more episodes.
Basically, we're going to talk about Jessica Jones 4 hours is what we're saying, and you can listen to all of it.
And so, Zia, let me start with you, especially, imagine if the female-centric Marvel Netflix show, we had a discussion and just the guys talked about it for a while. I don't think that would be right. So I'm gonna throw it to you. Now you did not watch season 2 of Jessica Jones.
Nope, skipped right to season 3.
Dove right in. And you know what? Did you feel like you missed much?
No, I didn't. Jessica meets her mom. Her mom gets shot. Got it. Her and Trish are on the fritz.
But who shoots her?
Trish.
Okay, good.
So they're on the fritz. But from the sounds of it, I don't know. I
think you'll enjoy it. You watch it sometime.
I will.
I've never told you not to watch it. You just haven't found the time.
I just haven't found time.
When season 3 was this close, I was like, just watch season 3 so that we can talk about it.
Well, we have to.
Yeah.
But
So tell me what you think on the whole for what we've gotten so far.
Okay, but before we get into that, because I didn't watch season 2, you guys have to tell me if I'm right or I'm wrong here. I know this is going to be totally opinion based. I'm on Trish's side. With the Trish Jessica debacle?
It's tough.
From what I've seen.
It's fairly complicated.
Yeah,
Her mom's not great.
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing.
Let's put it this way. You can be on Trish's side. It's not like I say that's wrong, but I certainly understand where Jessica's coming from.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not like that's part of why last season was good, is that decision was multifaceted and it wasn't a clear decision. Like it's not black and white. It's not good guy, bad guy.
There's a lot of gray area.
Bad decision.
If she wasn't your best friend's mother back from the dead, it probably wouldn't have been such a tough
But she
decision
was
to
a
make.
mass murderer, yes?
Sure.
Okay.
But who
That's all I
amongst
need to
us
know.
isn't? All right. Well,
I mean, in the sense that like most characters that inhabit a comic book universe are mass murderers.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's a good point. On to season 3. Sorry, I just wanted to clear that up just for myself.
I like Magneto
really.
a lot, and just think of the people he's killed. But anyway,
True.
The Punisher is a mass murderer.
Also true.
people who deserve it. But
War
yes.
Hero says Zia's on the wrong side here. Okay. Look, this is just coming from some. This is just.
She's
I
asking.
don't have
Yeah.
all the information. This is just what I'm getting right now. Anyway, what was I going to say? Season 3.
Season 3.
I really like what we've gotten so far. Season 1. Episode 1 was like a tiny bit slow, but not enough for me to be like, oh, I'm not into what's happening. I like a lot of what we've been getting from the characters. Hogarth. I am really enjoying what's happening with her character right now. First of all, her trying to get her ex-lover's husband in trouble. That's what she's trying to do, right? Get her ex-husband's
Yeah, she's trying to
her ex-lover's
find
husband
dirt on her ex's
so she can
husband
get
so
her
that
back.
Yes, exactly.
You're so crazy, Hogarth.
Which, by the way,
I love you.
that's so Jerry. That's like
It's-
exactly,
yes,
you know, and
yes.
she found the perfect employee in Malcolm, who's apparently really good at this sort of
Dude,
thing.
not expecting that at all. And watching him wrestle with that has also been really interesting. I'm like half happy for him that he found love and he's like got his life together, but half like, oh, Malcolm, come on, man.
Well, that's the thing. He's got his life together only in the sense that he has a job and it's paying well, but he's doing such dark stuff to get that job that
It's like, is it cool? It's not cool.
It's not cool. Like but that's the thing. Malcolm's one of the best characters on
I
the
know,
show.
I love him.
Well, and it's just when you think of, you know, if you think of his character arc, and you know, who knows where it ends at the end of the season.
Yeah.
He is this great character. I mean, he was a junkie and essentially comic relief in the first
very
season. You know?
good-natured junkie.
Yeah, right.
Oh, and I will
I
say,
like this junkie.
as for who knows, a lot of our audience knows. Please no spoilers in the chat.
Oh yeah, no, I appreciate
yeah,
that.
we've literally only watched 3 episodes,
Yeah.
like all 3 of us.
We try to pace ourselves for those amongst you who have, you know, some kind of urge control. You know,
Yeah.
You don't just stay up all night. And I've mentioned many times that Jessica Jones season 1, I did indeed watch 10 episodes in a day, but that's the only time I've done that with any of those shows. It was that good.
No,
But anyway.
I understand. If I had a full day of 10 hours, I'd totally do it.
I've never been able to binge a Marvel show because of having to talk about it. So
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you
back
have to
then-
pace
back then I
yourself.
didn't have to talk about it. That was
Just
that
for
was
fun.
It was a good
the
old days.
closest I got was Luke Cage season 2, and I like watched a bunch of it at once, but I didn't even binge the whole thing.
It's like 4 episodes, 6. Okay.
So
binge.
let's talk about the end of episode 1.
Hold on.
Jessica
Let me go to my notes.
Jessica gets stabbed.
She was a freaking spleen.
Yeah,
That's
well,
the
then
beginning
that's
of
episode
episode
3.
two. I'm sorry.
Episode 3 is I have no spleen.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of
Which,
myself
by the
because,
way,
good lord.
if Netflix cared about this show and maybe the relationship was going to continue, I think that those bracelets would have been handed out at whatever the most recent Comic-Con sort of event was.
That would have been good.
Did the
I would wear
bracelet
one. I want
say
one.
I have
I
no
have.
spleen?
It says Jessica Jones. I have no spleen. Is what her bracelet says.
Actually, can we make those? Like, can we just get those engraved and we could each have one?
friendship bracelets.
You know, I think that they have those. They're called medical alert bracelets. They're pretty common.
But if it says Jessica Jones on it, then they might think that's your name.
They
But I think
could.
they'll just know. All right, so talk a little bit about that sort of that moment and what you thought, and then in a moment we'll talk
first
about
of
what I'm
all,
really excited about.
I know we are. Yeah, I know we already. You know me so well. I know that we already know this, that she's not, bulletproof like Luke Cage is,
sure.
though they do share that sort of strength. But I saw it and I was like, oh, she is really not at all impervious
and
to.
that surprised me in episode 3 because I knew she wasn't Luke Cage. I just thought that, and obviously they got her right where they needed to,
Right.
but at the same time I thought that you weren't going to be able to just stab her like
yeah,
that.
I thought she would have been a little bit harder to injure.
Unless it was
She's
one of
little.
those crazy knives that Sarge has over on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which we'll get to in a little bit. Then I'd be like, okay, that must be a special Jessica Jones knife.
Well, with Jessica Jones, the big thing for her, at least like especially, I'm combining sort of like what we see on the show with like
Sure.
what we know from the comic books, is that she has enhanced abilities, but it's just like, what if you had like 20% of what like a standard comic book character who has super strength had? So she has super strong like just muscles, and obviously she can jump really high.
Yeah.
In the comic, she can fly, but she has trouble landing. That's the line that they
love
draw,
that.
which is a great like division to have. But I think here what it is that she heals better than most people, but only like 10 to 20% better, maybe.
Yeah.
And so the strength is the core of her ability. So she doesn't have her regeneration factor and her skin is the same. Her skin is just as durable as anyone. She bruises. We've seen her bruised.
Yeah,
but she
absolutely.
just heals a little bit faster. But if the spleen is ruptured, if it's effectively dead from that knife wound in a way that wouldn't heal no matter who you are, unless you're Steve Rogers, that spleen is done.
And that crazy. I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'll wait for episode 2. But yeah. That was a pretty crazy moment. I wasn't expecting a serious injury like that in the first episode.
Yeah, which
That's more what
I
I
think
was
to
surprised
sort of
about.
reconcile with what you were saying about the pacing. Let's be kind. It was deliberate.
Yeah.
And I was excited to see everybody.
Yeah,
again.
it wasn't
I'm like,
in a bad
there's
way.
Hogarth, because I think we haven't seen Hogarth since Iron Fist season 2. I don't think we actually saw her in Daredevil. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think we did.
No, not in Daredevil season
No,
3.
not
Yeah, there was
remembering,
no time for Hogarth. That season was jam-packed.
They mentioned her because
Right.
Foggy was working
Right,
for
exactly.
her.
But they never showed her. You're right.
Yeah. So it had been a while since we'd seen her, and so
thinking
that
about
was
this.
good. And look, the season could have started like at her funeral from the way things were left.
True.
So
Very true.
And I'm glad she's she's up to her old tricks. So yeah. But Zach, what did you think as the early part of the season unfolded for you?
Yeah, I mean, you guys already said season 1 was like very slow, but not bad slow. Just like they were catching us up with everybody. I loved episode 2 where we switched perspectives.
Ooh,
I always those episodes are always fun. You don't usually get them this early in a season, so I was excited to see our Hellcat episode.
Well, exactly.
right
And
away.
Did both of you notice who directed that episode?
Kristen Ritter.
Her name is Jessica Jones. Yeah,
Kristen Ritter. She has a real name.
And like
I
as
did
you're
notice
going
that.
along, I'm like, oh yeah, she could direct this one because she's
Yeah.
not in it that much.
And I really like the inner monologue that they're doing too.
I have a friend of mine on Facebook was writing earlier today about how much he hated this episode and all of the Trish stuff was cringeworthy. I'm like, oh
Really?
no, I am all in on Trish.
I liked it.
I thought it was great, and I liked the little switch. And the fact that we got our Hellcat origin.
Yeah.
And look, let's just get it out of the way.
Can we?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. And,
Oh, hell no.
And Josh has already got it. Yeah. The fact that we saw her.
I told you guys they were going to do it.
I had said
I
on
love
the
the way
after
they
show,
did it.
I'm like, I think it's going to be like when Luke Cage tries on the laundry and he still has on the headband.
Yes.
We were going to see it for a second.
Yes.
Which, for those of you watching on YouTube, this is the great Hellcat suit. There are other variations. but
find
this. Well, wait, you need to wear that?
Yes, I want to find it
We
before
could
this
do a
season is
Kickstarter to get
over.
people to pay for Xia to get the
What do you
Hellcat
need a
suit.
Kickstarter for? It's basically just a yellow onesie.
Help me find
I don't
it.
think it's that expensive.
I don't know how you find those boots.
And the gloves
And the gloves, yeah. Well, but anyway, so I was very excited that we got the Hellcat origin, but yes, she had the damn suit on. I don't know that. I was
it was
just
awesome.
like that episode is everything I wanted from this season.
Yes.
everything I wanted from the fact that when we found out that character was Patsy Walker, I'm like, great. This is all I wanted. But just talk about that episode as a whole. Now that we've gotten our squeals and giggles out of the way.
I'm really excited.
I'm like compiling a costume for Xia right now.
He's legitimately searching it, and I appreciate that because I really want to make this happen. I loved it. I really like the inner monologue that we've been getting to. That wasn't just that episode, but I enjoyed that from that episode. It's happening. I really enjoyed it from that episode because you kind of get to hear what they're thinking, which I've always been a huge reader. I've always loved reading, and that's something that you can never quite translate into movies without doing that sort of thing. I don't like it when it's overdone, but I didn't think it was overdone in this episode or in just what I've seen in these 3 episodes. So that being said, I really liked it, and I really like watching Trish train, and I really like the way that the 2 episodes, the end of season 1, episode 1, and the end of episode 2, kind of intersect.
basically at the
Yeah,
same
they
time,
cross over. I like the way they did that.
And Zach, what did you think of sort of like, Trish is doing all of this. She's working so hard. She's really, living the dream really for what she wanted. And all she wants is someone to say thank you. And that's the title of the episode is AKA You're Welcome, which I thought was just great sort of runner throughout the episode, is that it's just like, really, nobody's going to thank me? Just to give us your thoughts sort of on that aspect and also just all the Hellcat excitement.
I mean, it's that thing we've seen in a lot of different superhero stuff. It's the heroes that try to be a hero. It's not. I'm trying to think of what exact movie I'm hearing in my head as I say this, and I can't.
I brought this up on the Jessica Jones After Show. It's like reminiscent of Shazam, which has a great like, let's figure out my powers sequence, and this is like, I want to be a hero. So there's was a bit of a common feel. I thought that was a great sequence in Shazam, and I know that's not Marvel, but I thought that was great.
You know what it is I'm thinking of?
What's that?
Men in Black.
Oh, the first
Nice.
Men in Black.
The first Men in Black, because that's the whole thing of when Jay and Kay are having that whole conversation about like. Or no, it's Men in Black 2.
Oh, okay.
When Jay is talking to his partner that he's about to neuralize, and he's talking about, do you know who James? I forget what his original last name was. But well, he saved the lives of about 500 New Yorkers today. Nobody knows him, and if nobody knows him, how can anybody really love him? And it's just like, and that's Jay's thought.
Wow.
That's Jay's thoughts on being a hero who never gets thanked.
Yeah,
and that's what Trish is dealing with, and she has to come to that realization. And I think that's a very like interesting thing to hone in on for an episode, is that idea of somebody who wants to be thanked, wants to be loved for this thing, because they thought that was part of the job, and then realizing that it's not.
Well, and also she realized that she's way too recognizable.
that was actually my favorite part of it. It's like,
Yeah.
Patsy? And then the guy who she got the cell phone back for, hey, Patsy.
And she's like, no. And you're like, of course. You're not going to be able to live out in the open like other people are.
When you're already a celebrity.
When you're already a celebrity,
Sometimes
and then people sue you.
Jessica became very famous because she was powered, and
Right.
people started to see her. It's like, well, Trish, you were already Patsy.
And also, they're two very, very different personalities. Trish cares what people think. Jessica does not. And like, there's a certain point where it's gonna get. I feel like it's probably gonna get to Jessica no matter what. But she has more of a wall that Trish just doesn't have. That it's going to be an issue if she's getting sued.
Yeah, and it culminates in what, of course, is upsetting for anybody who enjoyed the Jessica Trish friendship the way it was, at least in season 1. Oh my God, she wants me, and she wants me to come to the hospital, and it's like, no, I just want the name of the guy that we think did it. And then that brings us to episode 3, the long sort of meandering realization that like, no, it's not that guy, but and I like the sort of the debate that both Trish and Jessica have about, well, what do we do about it, in terms of, Trish is like, well, let's get this guy, to the police, and Jessica actually ultimately does it, and when she has him pressed up against the cars. What did you think sort of about the sort of different approach that Jessica, who's been at this a lot longer than Trish, seems to have over Patsy?
Well, they're two slightly different perspectives. I think that if Jessica, if it had been the person they were looking for, Jessica wouldn't have turned him into the cops. I think that was like that was definitely the deciding factor.
Stabbed her.
Yeah, she would have probably killed him. But I actually do like, Eric James quickly in the chat says, I have a feeling we will see Jessica versus Hellcat. I hope so. More than just a bitch slap, which she got.
I know that we're not getting the yellow spandex bodysuit, which, by the way, I found a yellow one piece for Xia that's only $26.
I'm doing it.
I think we're gonna make this happen. But I would love to see her get claws or something like that, because that'll be a really interesting thing. We know that she's good at parkour.
Yeah, that's true.
Parkour.
That's literally all I could think. Like while I was watching it, I kept hearing Rick from Rick and Morty when he's Pickle, and he's like, "Get that parkour!" And she's like jumping off the wall under the bridge. But it was still like fun to watch and like see that like her reflexes really have improved. Like, there's something different. I'm curious to see what her... We know that her strength doesn't match Jess's.
No.
Yeah, because of that one punch.
That was amazing.
I thought that was pretty great.
That was
because
awesome.
She's basically saying, like, oh, and I still have a spleen. So basically, like, oh, you know what? I'm actually better than you. And that was definitely, that's like the Indiana Jones with the guy with the swords, the sword play, does all the crazy stuff, and then he just looks at him and just shoots him.
So great.
So this was just one of those, like, she didn't even
hell
really
outta
try.
here.
To
No,
hit her.
she
That
didn't.
was because she's her friend still, in some level.
Right. I think she still cares about her.
Yeah, it's that reminder that, like, yes, Trish is much more enhanced than she was just before when she was a human, but Jess is still far more powerful. So Jess is just easy. Jess can go in there and just with a flick of her wrist do more than Trish can with an entire, like, fury of punches.
Her whole flurry.
So, like, if they do... So we got a little bit of Jess versus Hellcat.
A little bit.
But...
We'd like to see a full out.
I'd like to see, occasion that makes sense in the plot of the season for them to actually, go all out.
Really duke it out, yeah.
And I want to see her with claws to even the playing
Well, it would
field.
make
little
sense
bit.
too because just for fighting, but maybe for even being able to climb over fences and walls and things. Yeah, I think the claws would be very practical.
Let me ask you guys this. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. I'll go after
do
you.
you think, and I'll remind the chat, we've only seen the first 3 episodes. Do you think that we'll get the name drop of Hellcat?
I hope
season?
so.
I'm
Just
going to
once.
decline to answer only because I have seen the episode titles. So,
I
so
the answer to that is yes.
I was looking
So,
to see.
so there's our
Probably
answer,
yes.
Christian.
I was looking to make sure there were 13.
No,
And,
that's totally.
and
That's totally fine.
I saw a title, and I'm like, oh, I hope she calls herself that is what I want, though, and I don't know that I just know that it's the title. Of an
That it's
episode.
the title, so
Yeah.
hopefully it comes up. I did want to say, though, she did make a really good point with Jessica where she says, look, I train every day. All you do is drink constantly. My only point with that is imagine how amazing she would be if she actually put any effort into it.
There's just a little effort.
Just
Yeah.
a little bit. She maybe stopped drinking a little bit, took a class, something, anything. Would be
Something.
awesome.
Good little learning annex. Just
Yeah.
something just to better yourself. We're going to move on from this in a moment, but let's talk about the end of the episode, which is the return of Eric, whom on the Jessica Jones After Show, also over here on AfterBuzz TV, we characterized as Burger Boy. But he comes back, and
I
then the
like that.
realization that, and remember, the 3 of us have only seen episodes 1, 2, and 3. The realization that the attacker was actually going after Eric / Burger Boy. So, Zach, who do you think he might be, and why did somebody want to stab him?
Honestly, I hadn't thought about it yet, but riffing off the top of my head,
This is what I want.
bringing nothing else into it, I would have to assume that he does have some kind of latent power that he hasn't revealed to us.
Okay.
Maybe it's a burger power. Who knows?
That's a good
look,
power.
There's
love to have that burger
there's
power.
some deep level mutant powers. He could have power over food. We don't know.
Hey, you could be totally right. I mean, Ghost in the chat, Ghost8386 said burgers, I think. Something along those lines. So, like, delicious looking burger. And you're not wrong. That burger looked
It
amazing.
did look really good.
I want it. Now I want burger. You guys.
Hey, that's why you hang out with us. So, Zia, what are your thoughts? Why do you think that Burger Boy got stabbed?
Honestly, I hadn't thought about it either. Just more like he has to be. He could possibly. Maybe he's an old acquaintance of Salinger at some point. They knew each other.
Well, we know that from the trailer because Salinger we haven't seen any reference
No, we
to
haven't seen
in
him
these
yet.
first 3 episodes. So if you've seen the trailer, and we talked about it on the show, so it's we've let that cat out of the bag already that we have. Gregory Salinger / Fool Killer turning up at some point this season. So yeah, I mean there could be some connection there. But well, from the trailer again, that's not who this guy is.
No, that's not
this
who he
guy
is.
Not him.
But there might be a connection. Maybe they worked together in the past. Maybe they knew each other. Maybe they're working together. I don't know. Something like that. Who knows? Michael B says, ooh, I know, guys, I know.
Probably because you watched. I mean, maybe Michael B didn't, all right? But I'm assuming
Better
that
eyes on you, Michael.
I know means... yeah, and so, look, I think
I'll do
that... people should take a look at the Hellcat from the comics, which the Patsy Walker character goes all the way back to the 40s, and it was like it was basically think like if from Archie, like Veronica got her own title. That's basically
it was Marvel's romance line was Patsy
exactly.
Walker. I love the way they spun that though, because those comics become in-universe comics that was just Patsy Walker's life being told by her mother.
Right, exactly.
In
which
form.
I thought that was great. And she ends up, I think, she ends up like as a full-fledged member of the Avengers, you know, sort of like in the 150-ish range. And
she goes to hell. She dies at one point.
Yeah,
She's dating Damian Hellstrom for a while.
Yeah, which is exactly how we need to, you know, get Patsy over onto Hellstrom on Hulu. We'll talk more about the Hellcat character as the season goes along. And,
just while we're talking about Hellcat comics, it's tonally completely different from the Hellcat that you know on this show.
Sure.
But I can't recommend the Kate Leff, Patsy Walker Hellcat line. I think it's like 15 issues or something like that.
I like that.
And it's super fun, silly. It's Patsy Walker as an unemployed superhero who wants to open up an employment service for people who have abilities, but not like next level abilities, just like regular abilities that they might be able to use marketably to get a job.
I think it's great.
I like that.
Well, so Hunt and Run, you never know. There's so much on like Marvel Unlimited that I don't even know to look for. So
And
that's
I
something that I'm
have
look for.
Marvel Unlimited,
Yeah, I do too.
so
that's something I look for.
Let's
All right, let's move it over to Agents of Shield, which I think we addressed a lot of. We got some answers, I think, about both of our ongoing storylines, dealing with Sarge and also with Fitz and everybody in space. Zach, where do you want to start? Because I want to know what you are more excited to talk about.
I'm way more interested in the Sarge storyline.
Yeah. Okay.
Although I'll be honest with you, I'm a little I don't know. I'm trying to hold back judgment on it for a while, because I'm not a huge fan of fake killing a character.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, well, Clark Gregg's just going to play a different character, and they'll play with that idea. And that's totally fine if that's like, oh, the face and what that does. It's Skrull, maybe. I don't know. But this idea that he is clearly some version of Coulson or has Coulson's memories, because now they're playing with him dropping the same idioms and like just phrases. Don't make it Coulson time traveling or something, because we're talking time travel again, so that's on the table.
Yeah.
I want them to. This mystery is now at a point where you're losing me a little bit, because you made me invest emotionally in the death of a character that I love. Again, we already cried over him one time in 2010 or whatever that was.
I think 11.
11,
same difference.
I wasn't thinking. I had to think quick. So I don't want that to be a fake death. I want that to be real and earned, as opposed to walking it back.
I do think they did a great job of sort of the juxtaposition of his interaction with May. You know, Sarge's interaction with May, you know, cross-cut between Coulson and May on the beach, where we saw the end of the previous season. I thought
which was very sweet, the little scenes in Tahiti.
Sad.
Yeah, it was a little sad.
It was
wasn't
sad,
it?
yeah.
But so again, Xia, new to the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. universe, what did you think of sort of getting to know a little bit more about Sarge?
I'm getting real invested. I'm getting real invested. Yeah, I'm like watching. I'm watching like this now. When I watch, I'm like
so
this.
So for those that are just listening, her
my eyes get really big.
Her eyes are really big.
And I lean forward super close.
You all know the emoji I'm talking about, the one with the big eyes and the eyes and the mouth open.
Yes.
I think the interesting thing about Sarge is that it seems like, yes, his methods are certainly, not without collateral damage, but it seems as though he might actually be more well-intentioned than we thought, which I find interesting.
I find that very interesting. I was like, wait, we're switching gears here. But May, I love May. She does not care. No. She's like, oh, hell no. You are not Coulson. I'm going to kill you. And she did. She whooped his ass. Jeez.
Yeah. I am intrigued by this idea that, okay, so these characters, and like from the beginning, it seemed like they probably weren't bad guys. They weren't out to murder everybody, at least intentionally.
No, because they become butterflies. That's better for them.
That crazy chick.
She's great.
She's amazing.
I really don't want to see her get killed off at any point this
No,
season.
I
hope
want her
she
the whole
sticks around.
season.
She's fun. She's fun. But that's the thing. So I wonder what, I feel like those have to be tied together. Because you don't drop, there's a character who has effectively been brought back to life, and they keep talking about reincarnation. They can't not be related.
That's true, but that's such an interesting. Though I can't wait to hear the explanation if that's what that's going to be, because the timing of, I mean, I guess time travel is going to play a part. Just the timing of it is so weird. He dies, and then you get another Coulson who's the exact same age, but that's hundreds of years old.
Right? Yeah.
Here's a question: do you guys think that the planets that are getting destroyed is going to tie us directly into the in my head I keep wanting to call them the Necrochromicons.
The Chromicons.
The Chromicons. Absolutely.
I think that I had the same thought as this episode was unfolding. I'm like, okay, there seems to be some common ground there. Well, let's move it over to Enoch, who had a great line in the show when he sees Fitz. He's his bestie, which I thought was great. I thought that they were playing that up. It
was fun.
But Zach, I think that bestie friendshipness was kind of short-lived, wasn't it? You know?
Oh, Enoch, you crazy robot. You crazy robot stand-in for the Watchers.
Yeah, exactly.
He clearly doesn't understand what friendship means.
Yeah.
No.
He understands the most basic level of it, but not really what it means. He is a robot, so I guess he's still learning.
And I guess his programming still includes being loyal to his species, because he immediately sells out his best friend and like, oh, here's his actual greatest weakness. You should threaten this one over here. I'm like, Enoch, everybody's looking at him like, dude, what?
What would you do? Why would you do that?
Yeah.
Well, and then he tries to say it's the only way I could keep them from executing you. And I'm like, I bet you could have found another way.
You're supposed to be super smart. I did like when everybody else was like, no, Enoch, you're our best friend too.
Yeah.
And and
so
then,
patronizing.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, Enoch. But I don't know. I think. I like the space storyline. I'm enjoying both of them, but I'm interested in seeing where it goes. And now it's like, well, everybody's gone back home except for Fitz and Simmons. And Enoch.
Fitz and Simmons get no reprieve from anything.
But they're going to be together.
Well, I'm going to say, for the love of God, can we see them together? Because they still aren't. She's still being held somewhere else on the ship.
Well, they know how to milk it more than anything. I did like the interaction between Enoch and the apparently not female about sort of like, I can't believe I let you access my data ports. I thought that was we didn't. It was one of those things. Is like, we didn't need all those details, but it made me laugh.
I know.
So I thought that was funny.
I like to know. I like to know how I guess robots do it.
Well. I'm sure Enoch would draw you a picture.
Dirty.
But I'm enjoying the season overall. I like the pacing. I feel like it's I'm invested in all of it, and I don't know. I still don't quite have it figured out. Like Zach mentioned, you're kind of getting a hint for how these things might overlap, but I don't know. I'm enjoying the ride, so we will keep an eye.
I want to get us back to Earth because I want
everybody together, either one place or the other.
The space stuff on S.H.I.E.L.D. has never felt all fully formed to me. Even like last season, I thought was the weaker.
Just for me, the last season was the time that it finally worked. But yeah, I know what you're saying. Getting them back together on the ground on Earth, it makes the most sense.
Yeah, I want to see it back to the little thing, like the smaller stories.
Yeah. All right, so we have a little bit of time, and I did want to talk about how this started trending just a few hours ago. You'll see, if you're looking on YouTube, you'll see this from the great artist Alex Ross. He tweeted out #Spider-Man4, and there is an image of Spidey web swinging with... I think a lot of people are interpreting this as kind of looks like Mary Jane,
kind of
looks like Kirsten Dunst Mary Jane very specifically, and people are wondering, are we going to get a comic that is what Spider-Man 4 would have been? And Twitter being Twitter, this had everybody like, yeah, you can still do the Tom Holland Spider-Mans, but yeah, give us a Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 4 as well. That's not going to happen.
Well, no, I'm curious.
There's no way that's going to happen.
I'm curious if this was an official post or if it was, because this was at 5:04.
Yeah.
Because so this is
and this is 5:04 our time, I believe.
In response to, because at 11 a.m. or 10:59 according to my computer, Marvel posted Marvel posted this image that I don't think we have, but it's just a spider web that forms the number 4.
Okay.
And so everyone's like, what does that mean?
Right.
What does that mean?
And then, of course, it could have nothing to do. I mean, look, I think that would be fun as one of those sort of like, alternate reality sort of things. It's like, oh, this is what it would have been like if they had made that movie. There were talks about what that script could have been if they hadn't done the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. But as Zach and I were talking before the show, you have a simpler theory for what this could be.
Well, the one that I hadn't seen the Alex Ross thing. I'd mainly seen just the number 4 in a web. And to me, that says we're going to do a Fantastic Four storyline of some kind.
With Spider-Man.
I mean, he's been a member of the Fantastic Four. He's also just worn Fantastic Four garb.
Yeah.
Return of Batman.
Yes, right, exactly.
That seems the more logical one to me. The Fantastic Four have only recently come back into the fold. Disney is going to definitely want to be trying to get the Fantastic Four more into its readers' minds.
Absolutely.
Since they have now regained the rights to that property.
So in like 2 or 3 years,
Somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
I got a thought. Josh in the booth.
Josh in the booth has a thought.
What if, think about it this way, that's a good theory about the Fantastic Four. What if Spider-Man Far From Home actually sets that up and adds a little bit of anticipation for that? What do you think?
That could be good. Yeah,
little
because it
tease.
could be, look, we've heard the term multiverse in that trailer.
This is true.
But let's go with sort of my theory. Xia, well, because I was about to ask Xia the same question. What if this is just a comic book and there is no movie? Would you be interested in seeing what that next story would have been?
Yeah, I'll still absolutely read it.
Because people are so excited at this idea of let's get another Tobey Maguire movie.
I'd watch that too.
But here's what I have to ask. Do people not remember the last Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie? Because it was not good. In fact, it is the worst Spider-Man movie that we've had.
Okay, but that doesn't mean that the first one wasn't good, and it doesn't mean that I enjoyed I didn't enjoy the second one.
I'll say the second Tobey Maguire one is my favorite of all the Spider-Man movies. It's one of the best superhero movies.
I agree. It's a good one.
For me. What were you going to say, Zach?
Well, I will say to clarify, so it is a comic book, whatever this is.
Yeah.
Because when Marvel posted it, it came from the Marvel Entertainment Twitter, which primarily talks about those, but they also hashtagged it with #Marvel Comics.
Right. But
Right.
Josh, I do like your thinking, and I think that would be
theory.
great if there was a way to do it. Now, as we mentioned at the top of the show, today is Father's Day. It is also Marvel Universe Day. That's right. It's 6/16. Thank you. But it's Father's Day, and so I wanted to start off by showing off a little photo of myself with my kids. That's for those looking on YouTube. That's my son
Adorable.
Felix on the left and my daughter Lucy
cute.
on the right. And if you look really closely on the couch, you'll see we're being photobombed by Goose the cat, a flurkin that if you squeeze his stomach, his crazy long
Where
blue
did
tongue
you
comes
get
out.
that?
My sister-in-law works for Disney, so I'm not.
You
she
can
bought
just
it
buy
this
them at
Yeah, I'm sure.
I was going to say Toys R Us, but that doesn't
Well,
exist
you can't
anymore.
buy
I was gonna say KB Toys.
You can't buy them either.
Remember that place?
For those who can't see the shirts, I have a second photo, Josh. Yes, indeed, I'm wearing it now. It says,
friggin'
I
kidding
love
me.
you 3000, and the kids had somewhat matching ones. Lucy's is exactly the same as mine, and Felix is more of an Iron Man. And to really embrace the end game, yes, we ate cheeseburgers. So that was us. But now we wanted to talk about, for us, the top 3 Marvel dads. We are going to start off with 2 honorable mentions, one from Zach and one from Xia. Zach, your honorable mention is?
Scott Lang. Do I even have to wait on it? I can't believe he only made honorable mention on this list. We'll get into that later.
We'll get into that in a moment.
But Scott Lang he's such his whole story is rooted in his being a father. He has literally gone to jail, especially in the comic books, for his daughter. He's broken in to steal a heart for her. He stole the heart for his daughter. What more does a dad have to do? But he's also like, through all of his trials over the years, everything has come down to what can Scott do for Cassie. And it's really his devotion to his daughter that makes him like unquestionably in my
It's
top
very
list.
clear in Ant-Man and the Wasp the reason why he is under house arrest instead of like being out on the run trying to catch up with Cap, his best friend Cap, is for his daughter. And then of course in Endgame, actually the realization that his daughter was alive, but he'd missed 5 years. It's a very emotional moment. Yeah, I think that's great. So Xia, now the father figure is a part.
Yes.
We're going to use those rules here for best Marvel dads, and that is very much applicable in your honorable mention,
Which is Professor Charles Xavier, because he literally runs a school for
gifted youngsters.
Like, he takes them in and he helps them and he raises them. And yes, he can be a dick sometimes, but what dad can't? I mean, come on.
I think they retconned away the early run of the original X-Men where I think he was secretly in love with Jean. I'm pretty sure they got rid of that.
Good.
But once you take away that, yes, he is a great father figure, except he is definitely a dick a lot of the time. As Kitty Pryde will, there's an issue on X-Men 168. It's called Professor Xavier is a jerk. That's how she feels very strongly about it.
Great.
Speaking of Kitty Pryde, I chose a father figure for what ends up being number 3 of the list, mostly because of the interaction between Kitty Pryde and Wolverine. That is indeed a series that I have urged people to read over the years. A great 6-issue series. Right here, this is what you're seeing on YouTube, is issue 3. This is right in the middle. Kitty's not quite a ninja yet, but she's almost there. So it doesn't look like he's being very parental, but believe me, he is. And then if you go to the next picture, Josh, I thought that once Kitty moves on to Excalibur, he really takes Jubilee under his wing, and that's, I think, the relationship that a lot of people know from the animated series.
Yep.
Is Jubilee was sort of this surrogate that replaced Kitty, and there is this there's a character from Power Pack, Katie Power, that there's a few. I had to use this picture of him being stuck in a tea party with the kids from Power Pack, but. If you go to the next one, this is the splash page from Uncanny X-Men 205. Some amazing artwork by Barry Windsor-Smith. And it's just a gruesome tale of Wolverine, basically half dead thanks to Spiral. And and there's a moment in this which is so parental. And he just he tells her she has to close her eyes. He doesn't want her to see. In the midst of this gruesome fight, he's like, this little 5-year-old girl should not see this. Now we have 1 minute of rebuttal because Zach does not like this choice.
I love Wolverine as a character. I think Logan is great. He's a hero. I don't think he could be in your top dad list since he actively murdered his own son in Dakin.
Did his son deserve it,
I'm pretty sure Dakin deserved it.
Yeah,
though.
but I feel like that takes you bumps you down the list a bunch.
But what about Logan? What about that whole movie?
So the movie Logan, like X-23, I mean, that falls under the sort of yes from
He's
his
a
DNA.
good dad for a week in that movie. But being a great dad is about putting in the effort over a lifetime of raising a child.
I definitely agree with that. But
what lifetime of raising a what?
We'll agree to disagree on that. But look, I didn't put Magneto on the list. All right, he has two very famous children.
But we can all agree
that Magneto's not a great dad.
No.
Yeah. So let's go to number 2, who last year, when we talked about this, he was my number 1 choice, Uncle Ben. It is so hard to not have Uncle Ben because obviously, there's so much. It's such a tragic story, the story of Peter Parker, and just Uncle Ben is just this lovable older man who is just happy to have a teenager in the house, and he takes him to a baseball game in a very famous issue of I think that was amazing, but it's years later. He goes to a Mets game. This is the reason why I care so much.
It's amazing. Yeah. Of course, it's a Mets game.
So that he's number 2, but number 1, and this is because of Endgame, is Tony Stark, because if you think about Tony Stark, he basically crafts his plan to save the universe and millions of dead in a way that he will preserve the life of his daughter. So he does, it doesn't let's not go back in time and make it so it never happened. we have to have these 5 years count. And he did, and you know what? That's very selfish, but it's selfish for the right reasons. So Tony, that makes you the best dad.
And he sacrificed himself.
Let us know what you think of all the dads out there. Josh, we have one question from a listener viewer that we want to get to, but we'll wrap up in a moment. So go ahead.
So we do have a tweet from Kid Talks. It's KIDD Talks.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about if and when the Netflix characters are brought back, they do a format more like Sherlock follows, a season comprised of 3 self-contained cases / villains with an overarching story tying them together?
I mean, I think it's a great idea because the Sherlock season, it's like 3 episodes of about 90 minutes. I think that would work really well. It would, you wouldn't have to plow through 13 episodes. It'd be a little bit more manageable. And I think people who aren't familiar with the previous incarnations of the series would be okay with that. Zach, what do you think about that as an idea?
It's not a bad idea. It would let you do... It would feel more like movies. Personally,
Yeah.
I prefer. I've watched Sherlock. I find those a little bit sloggy to get through. They can be a little bit stretched out because they're movie length, but they don't have the budget of movies. And for me, TV is better paced at 45 minutes an episode, where you can just you can tell a story and watch a character grow an arc over a 10-episode season. That to me is a better way to tell a serialized story as opposed to 3 chunks. That doesn't mean it couldn't work. And I think if you're going to do that, doing team ups where it's Daredevil and Jessica Jones, Jessica Jones and Luke Cage, Daredevil and Iron Fist,
Power Man and Iron Fist. I'll say
Yes,
it.
please.
And Zia, I feel like you're just gonna watch whatever.
I'm just gonna watch whatever, but I do really like the idea because I think that it's the thing that I like about the Netflix seasons. I think a lot of times they'll really push 13 episodes, and I think that's too many. And I think if you do 3 hour-and-a-half episodes, it's what is that 4.5 hours?
I was told there would be no math. Yeah.
4.5 hours is enough time to tell a really good story. At the same time, you get a lot of like character development.
Sure.
I think it's a nice amount of time. I think it'd work well.
Well, let us know what you think. I think there's a great question. Thank you for, what was it, Kid Talks?
Kid Talks.
2Ds. And we appreciate that. So we always like to incorporate feedback from our audience. We are indeed out of time, but a little programming note. First of all, if you enjoy the 3 of us, you can see us every Thursday at 1 Pacific over on the Popcorn Talk Network for Marvel Movie News. This week, we have a special extra episode, which is Tuesday at 2 Pacific, where finally, Zach and I, Zia, will be working.
They didn't invite me
we leave you out
again.
of everything.
They just don't like. They plan this on purpose on days I work.
I swear we don't.
We really don't. But Zach and I will get to have our interview with Chris Claremont. We're going to talk Dark Phoenix, the movie, lots of other things. But also, he has now been to the season 3 premiere of Legion. I don't know what he can tell us. Probably not much. But we will ask him about that. So you can find that Tuesday at 2 p.m. Pacific over on the Popcorn Talk Network, our interview with Chris Claremont. But also, Zach, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at @ZachWilson. Be sure to check out Marvel Movie News. And I have another podcast called Ships of the Night, where we take 2 weird, random characters from different universes and ship them together. Captain America and Wonder Woman, how does that go? Deadpool and Harley Quinn, how does that go? Or maybe this week, Sherlock and Detective Pikachu, how does that go?
And Zia, where can people find you?
You can find me on his podcast. I'm on one of them.
So
And you
am I.
can also find me on Twitter and Instagram at Zia_Land. That's XIA_Land. Also on Facebook at Zia Landerson, as so dubbed by Christian DMZ.
That's me, and you can find me at Christian DMZ on Twitter and Instagram. You can also find me on the Jessica Jones After Show. I still really don't know when we're doing the next couple, but keep an eye out. You'll find us. And in my own personal podcast, The Blackcast, Zia was on this week, where Zia and my co-hosts Jeff and Will talked about Dark Phoenix most of the time for about an hour and 20 minutes.
Most of the time.
Anyway, that is all the time. We went long, as they say, but thank you to everybody in the chat. We will see you. We'll see you on Tuesday when Zach and I talk to Chris Claremont. But until then, Excelsior!
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.